Hey everyone, it's the Captain here. Just a quick video, something I've been meaning to do for quite some time. I've even started a couple videos and just kind of ran out of time. I don't have the free time to make a lot of videos these days or to even comment on as many videos as I used to. I wish I did. But yeah, I wanted to talk about some things related to Gorgeous George, some of the latest happenings, just weigh in, give my perspective. First of which, I want to go back a little ways and talk a little bit about Piss 4400 and his dealings with George. Now, all of you are going to remember that Piss 4400 had started a channel called the Gorgeous George Project, and he made videos about George. Half the time, the videos weren't even about George. They'd loosely be about George, but Piss 4400 is so narcissistic, he just goes back and always talks about himself. That's his favorite topic to talk about, and I think people even point that out to him. For some reason, this drives George crazy, though. And I guess it's not even for some reason. The reason is that George wants to control everything that's said or written about him on the interwebs. All of us know that that's an impossibility. And people that try and fight the internet pretty much always lose. I can't really think of anybody that's fought the internet and won. That's a losing effort. But anyway, so George was very upset that Piss is making these videos about him and started making videos in response, threatening Piss 4400 with certain people, I think, that were in Piss's life, that he should be afraid to have them come back. I don't know. I couldn't really get the gist of what George was talking about, but whatever it was something that he was trying to threaten Piss 4400 with. And when that didn't work, he went to the effort to... Well, let me pause for a second. So that didn't work, and then George started threatening Piss 4400 with posting a picture of him. And Piss 4400 called his bluff, and George did indeed post that picture. Now let's pause for a second and just remember how many times George has called anyone that talks about him self-loathing and obsessed, mentally ill, all these terms he likes to throw around. But really, we're talking about a guy who lives at least several hours, 4 or 5 hours away from Richmond, and somehow George went through the trouble to either pay someone to go and get a picture of him. I would assume that's what it was, because Jeremy would recognize Gorgeous George outside his door taking pictures of him. So he went through the effort to get a picture of Piss 4400 and then made a YouTube video about it, which is just bizarre. Can you imagine the stink George would make if somebody took a picture of him looking out his window? He's gotten just so upset if anybody drives by his house and takes a picture. And his house is pretty much public knowledge. People have known his address for a long, long time. So why he's so bent out of shape about that, I don't know. But he went to the effort and trouble to get a picture of Piss 4400. And I've said before that I'm done with Piss 4400, and yeah, I am. I don't respond to his videos, and I don't interact with him. But I do want to say that I do admire the fact that he didn't let that slow him down, really. I mean, I think it did a little bit initially, but he's decided to continue doing what he's doing and ignore what George has to say, which I think is admirable. And I'm sure he'll read into this that I'm just trying to encourage him to fight with George, and I really couldn't care less, because him fighting with George is like somebody trying to kick a puppy. There's no challenge in that. You know, George should realize that Piss 4400 poses no threat and no challenge, but he doesn't see it that way. And I think all of us would agree. No one watches Piss 4400's videos other than a handful of goons. With that aside, no one sees them. So why George is so bent out of shape about it, I guess I could guess what it is, and it's something I touched on earlier, is that he just has to control every single thing that's out there about him, and that's something that's never going to happen. The next thing I wanted to talk about was, I just wanted to touch on Marty McFly real quick. This man has made some truly memorable videos in such a short time. They've been so good. The content just awesome. And his prowess in investigative journalism is something to behold. This is sort of a new era that we have upon us with Marty out there digging up the facts and tirelessly working his gorgeous George beat. I want to mention something I talked about maybe a year ago, slightly more, which was the interview with Magic Matt. I never said who it was that had that kind of lined up, and I kind of wanted to let Marty remain under wraps, and it was Marty. So I'm really curious. I don't talk to Marty personally, other than interacting with him on comments. He's an awesome guy, but I don't know if he still has that avenue where he can connect with Matt and get an interview. But if you do, Marty, please do it. That would be so amazing to hear. George didn't believe that was a possibility, but don't doubt Marty McFly. Should have learned by now. You don't doubt Marty McFly. So Marty has uncovered so many things about George, and all of this has been fascinating to behold. I may not be able to spend the time commenting or interacting, but I'm definitely watching and enjoying everything that I see. I'd like to put out one last thing. We should really take advantage of having Marty out there. I think if there's anything people want to know more about, they should post in the comments and ask Marty to investigate these things. He's a guy that can get these things done. So please add in the comments what Marty should investigate next. And I've also been kind of thinking about going back and through George's video catalog and just reviewing most of his videos, offering my insight and carefully and meticulously combing through his videos and pointing out things that he should have done differently, that sort of thing. I think it would really help him. I think he probably, deep down on a certain level, would enjoy it. But anyway, that is all I got. This is the Captain, signing off.